Today I'm going to be doing some translation, and by translation I of course mean bad translations. I've done a couple of videos like this before, the general brief being to take the official character descriptions of certain Thomas characters, translating them into over 25 different languages, then back to English again, and illustrate the results. We've got 3 characters to get through, and now seems like as good a time as any to begin. It's drawing time. Here is Toby's official character description as used during the classic era. Toby is old-fashioned, both in looks and outlook. Every engine, no matter how old, wants to be really useful, and having once nearly been scrapped, Toby is always happy to work. He's not above being temperamental sometimes, but since he works mainly up an outlying quarry line, he can work off his moods without causing grief to anyone except his own faithful coach Henrietta. And after being translated a bunch of times, it becomes this. The Toby engine is a classic, both in terms of looks and performance. Engines of all ages prioritise practicality, and although Toby's service is coming to an end, he still loves his job. He can be a bit noisy at times, but since he usually walks the country roads, he doesn't bother anyone, except perhaps his faithful companion Henrietta. Well, that's certainly the character description of all time. It starts out like something a used car salesman might say, and then throws the curveball by revealing that Toby can, in fact, walk. I decided to focus on that part of the description when drawing Toby in the Mistranslated Engine series. So here's Toby walking along a country road. Maybe it'll take him home to a place where he belongs. It's interesting that the original character description refers to the quarry tram road rather than a country road. I decided that if Toby is going to walk, he's going to need legs. Toby's going for a stroll along the country road with his equally freakish companion Henrietta. The bit about Toby being temperamental at times got changed to Toby being noisy at times instead, and that Henrietta is the only one that gets bothered by this. I figured that maybe Toby's legs were the cause of all this noise, so I added some creak sound effects to the image to show that his joints are a bit squeaky. Henrietta looks unamused as she tags along behind him. It's also interesting to know that, after getting translated to within an inch of its life, Toby's character description went from saying that Toby avoided getting scrapped, to saying that his service was coming to an end. By the looks of things at least, it seems as though he's spending what's left of his life doing what he loves most. So good for him, I suppose. And, with that said, here is the finished drawing. Duck's official character description is as follows. Duck, whose real name is Montague, is a cheerful, busy character. He's only a small tank engine, but, coming as he does from the Great Western Railway, he'll stand no nonsense whatsoever from larger engines who try and order him about. After being put through the translation ringer, this becomes... The Dark Engine, real name Montag, is a magnificent and powerful steam engine. Despite its small size, it is an essential part of the Great Western Railway and is no longer made as a custom order. I suppose this is the first time in this series a character has had such a drastic name change. I guess Percy also got a name change, but it was only a slight one. But now Duck, aka Montague, has become the Dark Engine or Montag. I decided to illustrate this name change by making Duck some sort of dark entity with with no colour or light, just completely pitch black with pupilless eyes, and with darkness permeating all around him. He is a powerful steam engine, which I've showcased by giving him a rake of siphon G vans forming a long milk train. Despite his immense power, he is a little weird and effed up, so anyone driving him has got to be careful they don't end up breaking the fabric of reality. Unfortunately, once again the majority of the drawing didn't record, despite the fact I could have sworn I pressed the record button before starting the inking and colouring process. So once again I had to patch up the hole with the drawing being erased in reverse. I really don't want this to become a regular occurrence, so I guess I'll just have to be more careful and start double checking the record button more often in the future. I wanted to use a more limited colour palette for this drawing, with mainly dark purples and reds to give the illustration a somewhat more sinister vibe, which I think sets this image apart from a lot of my other illustrations, aside from, you know, the whole duck being made of dark matter thing. And so, here is the completed drawing. Finally, we have Donald and Douglas. Here's a reminder of their original character description. Other than their name plaques and their numbers, the twins are identical. They hate to be parted, and they enjoy a joke, especially when outsiders can't tell them apart. Their antics sometimes lead to trouble, but they're hard workers and particularly good at ploughing snow. And here it is, after being translated. And when it comes to cars, these twin sisters are just like each other in every way. I hate being alone, and are great at getting mischievous when no one is watching. They don't think it's funny now or then, but they're both very hard working and talented at making fake snow. Well, it's taken us 3 videos and 9 drawings, but we've finally had a character in one of these mistranslated character bios, or in this case 2 engines, get changed from male to female. Donald and Douglas are no longer twin brothers but rather twin sisters. I suspect it's down to the fact that the character bio doesn't actually use individual pronouns for Donald or Douglas, or even their names. Then there's the fact that most languages use genders for all nouns, and I believe that locomotive, or the equivalent term thereof, is a feminine word in most of these languages. It's the reason why some dubs of Thomas and Friends, such as the French and Italian dubs, refer to the show as something along the lines of Thomas the Little Train, rather than Thomas the Tank Engine, because engine or locomotive is a feminine term, but train is a masculine term in these languages. It's interesting to me that Donald and Douglas's character description mentions that they like to play jokes that involve people not being able to tell them apart. This seems to be a direct reference to The Missing Coach, an episode that famously got cancelled before ever making it to air. It's the only story I can think of that involved Donald and Douglas trying to trick people in that way. Unless you count Thomas and the Special Letter, where Douglas gets called Donald in the script, but I don't think that was on purpose. The mistranslated version changes this to them being mischievous, and also mentions something about them making fake snow, which is kind of the opposite of what they do in the books and the show. Normally, the twins clear the snow away, but now they're making a fake version of the stuff. For some reason, I decided to make Donald and Douglas witches for this image. They're female, as we've now learned, they're mischievous, and maybe they need a cauldron and a spell in order to concoct their fake snow. It's something a bit different, I suppose. Once again, I decided to go with a limited colour palette, mainly consisting of blues and purpley reds. And, with that said and done, here is the finished illustration. And there you have it, another video featuring character descriptions translated a load of times and then illustrated. I'm not sure if any of the drawings in this video has quite topped the bizarreness of Henry the horse from the last video on this topic, but they were all a bit cursed in their own way. Duck is probably literally cursed. Maybe that's why his drawing didn't record. Overall, I've enjoyed making this video, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. And with that, I'll bid you farewell until next time.